Okay, we're online. Being a couple minutes after 9, I will call this meeting of the Ethics Commission to order. First item on the agenda is any additions. I know of 2 additions to the agenda. We're going to add a discussion of to schedule a hearing with.
We'll just add in our executive session, we'll add complaints 22003 through 22010. That's the only addition I have, Dave.
Oh, okay. So say that again, the complaints.
Yep. So in item number 10, discussion of complaints, we're going to add 22003 through 22010 inclusive. So anything in between there.
22003 through 22010. And Murray, you'd like to add a discussion about subpoenas. So I'm going to add that in between 8 and 9, so that'll after education outreach and mock complaint overview and hearing. Okay, any other additions?
Can everyone see me okay?
Well, I can see you fine.
Okay, because I've got camouflage shorts on.
Oh, okay.
For the record.
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of the April 23rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? Any edits? We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes then of the April 23rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'll just call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have approved the minutes. Okay, now it's time for the executive director's report.
All right, so we're going to do the executive director's report just a little bit out of order today. We're going to do the budget discussion last. So let's start with our filings update. Which we have. And so we have our April 2024 file, 2025. Not 2024, April 2025 filings. So we had 5 complaints come in. We had 1 quasi-judicial form that was filed. We had 1 conflict of interest form, and we had 9 meeting notices. In April, the commission closed 34 complaints, and the commission currently has 62 complaints pending. So this is the graphic or what we have been showing the commission and the public when it comes to complaints or filings that the commission takes in over the last few months. So as I think this gives some information, but I think that there's probably a lot of information that's missing from this. And so this is going to look, I just want to let the commission know that this is going to be in a little bit more detail starting next month. With a little bit more information about how long pending complaints have been pending, and some additional information. So this is just going to look a little bit different next time. So we had kind of the meeting notices, again, those were higher. That's because we were wrapping up legislative session in April. Granted, most groups had their meetings with legislators early on. I anticipate those meeting notices going down as we are walking out of legislative session. Does the commission have any questions on this? In our testimony, I would want to add, in the testimony that we were providing throughout the session, we had a much more detailed filings graph, and that's what we're going to change this to, something that is more detailed by year, so that we can have more detailed information for the public. But any questions on what we have been intaking? Hearing none, am I good to move on, Chair?
Yes.
Okay. So I am also presenting the commission today with another policy and procedure. I feel like every month or every other we have a new policy or procedure that needs to get added. The reason is because we're a new agency. I think Senator Davison called us a toddler last week. I think that's probably about right, right? And so we do have a lot of policies that we need to get included. Some of these are included in the Office of Management and Budget, but they usually apply to the executive branch, and we are not part of the executive branch, so we have to adopt our own policy. We a lot of times will refer to or defer to what OMB does. And so the policy that you guys have in front of you today is what we call the bonus policy. And this is modeled after and adopted in accordance with OMB's budget policy for the executive branch. So you will see it outlines when a team member, meaning a member of the Ethics Commission staff, can receive a performance bonus, a retention bonus, a recruitment bonus. Honestly, recruitment bonuses and referral bonuses, you can see they're used in extraordinary circumstances. I don't anticipate using either one of those, but we did adopt it or include it in the policy just to mirror OMB's policy. If it would ever be needed, I don't anticipate the commission ever using those, but you do have the performance bonus and the retention bonus. The reason that you will see on subpart F, there is a highlight that says all final decisions regarding bonuses shall be made by the commission. So there was a question when Logan drafted this after consultation with OMB about whether this should be by the commission or whether this should be by the executive director. I told him to draft it or directed him to draft it as bonuses shall be made by the commission. That certainly can change based upon the discussion that we have here today. We could have it where staff member bonuses are left to the executive director, and then an executive director bonus is left to the commission, or we just simplified and had it all to the commission. So I would like to get your input on that last portion. The OMB policy uses what word? Not by the commission, but all final decisions. It's not in the OMB, right? That's what we added. Okay. So with that, I would open any discussions, questions, but to get that adopted in whatever form the commission would like.
I think it's important we add that because I think all of you have seen the work that Hogan and Alicia and Rebecca have done this past 4 months. Weekends, nights, and everything. So I think we need the ability to compensate for that and to reward for particularly distinctive service as well. So, any other discussion?
Where did the amount come from? No, performance bonus may exceed 1,500.
That is set, that was the number set by OMB.
Can we change it?
That is a question I do not know the answer to. But Jill with HRMS is going to be here. So Cindy, I would say that's a question that,
And then my other question would be, so I'm assuming performance was what I would call merit, performance, merit-based.
Yep.
And then if you did one, can you do the other?
I believe you can.
So you want to do a performance bonus and a retention bonus, and they could both equal 1,500.
That I'm not sure about. I don't think that a retention bonus is limited, right?
Look at the statute. Not sure.
I think it's good to have some flexibility.
I have a question. What line item would any bonus come from?
Alicia?
It would likely fall under the temporary salaries line, when it rolls up, but if you're looking at like our budget report, we would end up putting it in where it would actually go, if that would make sense. So if we were gonna plan to budget it, we would put it as a prepaid budgeted line under temporary salaries likely. But once we knew where it was going to someone, it would go under that person's line, if that makes sense.
More directly, is there money in the budget for bonus payment?
Can I answer that? Yes. Okay. So let's pull up the budget actually. Murray, that's a great lead-in question to the budget discussion. So if we look at our updated budget, which kind of gets into our next item, yeah, go all the way down to the ending balance. So our new ending balance as of this month is $5,739, which Alicia usually talks to you guys about. What we calculated in that is a $1,500 performance, I want to make sure I say it right, performance bonus for Logan is already calculated in that number, and then Alicia's workload increase.
But that was that was money that the legislature has already allocated, correct? To Alicia?
Yes, so the money that, for the workload increase that was just allocated, that moves forward that starts in the next biennium. So that
Okay.
won't start until July 1, but we have enough in our budget left to start that workload increase in May. So what we did is we changed the calculations and included it to make sure that Alicia was getting that in May. So later today, at some point, I'll go and enter it, and it'll be effective May 1st, assuming that the commission approves of that.
Okay, but that is not a retention
That
bonus
is not a retention bonus. No,
or a performance bonus.
Nope.
No,
that is not. Nope.
okay.
So the reason I had figured, so what we did for budget purposes is we figured a performance bonus for Logan since he worked overtime and had an additional workload, I guess, during session, but we aren't able to compensate that in any way. Alicia's work during session was paid out as overtime, extra time. So that was the distinction that I made, Ron.
And that is because she's an hourly employee?
Yes,
And
she's
she-
non-exempt,
And, right, okay,
and Logan is exempt.
okay.
Why the distinction? I don't know. That's not our call.
Well, I know from working in the judiciary, there is that distinction all the time in different classifications.
Yep. So Murray, does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. There's money to do it.
Mhm.
That's basically my question. Because when you get down to the end of the fiscal year, it's estimated 5,739. And out of that will have to come funds for proposed rules.
We already have that earmarked.
So this
This
is
is remaining balance.
after.
This
all-
is what we will turn back if we do not spend. After the rules, after my workload increase is included, and after his bonus is already in there, we still have that much extra.
And the rules are also programmed someplace.
Yep.
That's-
We have two sets of rules.
We have two sets of rules in our
So-
projected, so those are in our projected expenditures right here. They're around 2,000 per rule, so you'll see this $4,000 line right here for advertising rules.
Answer to Cindy's question.
Okay.
The performance bonus is statutory limited to $1,500.
Interesting.
But it doesn't look like the retention bonus is.
I don't think she heard you. Logan.
No,
I don't think the retention bonus is limited like the performance bonus.
okay, and we're not precluded from doing all four if we wanted to.
Well, I would
I mean,
think,
if the circumstance was whatever, where we would consider each of these separately for an individual or maybe two.
What do you mean all four?
If I wanted to make a motion to give a performance bonus, a retention bonus, and a recruitment bonus and a referral bonus when we hired Rebecca Benstock, if we would have had this in place. That's my question. The way I'm reading it is like, we can do all four if the circumstances
Warrant.
warranted that. So the more immediate question for me is, if we wanted to do both performance and retention bonus for our existing staff, could we do both?
do you have an answer to that, Logan?
I think so, but I'm not completely sure. So I don't know. It's the better answer.
Basically, this proposed policy is identical to the OMB policy except for the highlighted text.
Correct. Yes. And I'll also note when I wrote the policy, I did not know it was in the context of me. So as soon as I found out, I declared my conflict.
But there maybe was a reason I didn't tell him that.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
But there's not much of a conflict if you're transposing one document to another.
No,
It is not a disqualifying conflict.
no. That's what I've been told.
I would make a motion that we approve the bonus policy.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion?
Yes. I think as far as F is concerned, that I would propose that Rebecca make the decisions regarding bonuses for any staff members. And we make the decision on Rebecca.
Who's second?
That's the way it's set up already, isn't it, Rebecca?
No, it's
Oh.
not. We just did it as the commission.
Okay,
We,
all right.
I generally don't, we don't generally draft documents giving me authority until you guys do that.
Okay. Need more discussion on Ron's suggestion of, I guess, amending the motion?
I'll second the motion to amend.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't, I'm sorry, I should have put it in that form.
So we have an amended motion that's been proposed and seconded. Any additional discussion on that part? Or on that proposed and amended? Okay, Alicia, let's call the roll.
Dean Anderson,
Aye?
Cynthia Lindquist,
Aye.
Ward Kozer,
Aye.
Ron Goodman,
Aye.
Murray Stacy.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So can I make a motion?
Second, we have the other motion.
No, now there's.
We made the motion to
Yeah,
amend.
that was the motion to amend. Now there's the
Now we-
base.
now we
Okay,
vote
now
on
we
the
go
motion.
back to the, like you said, for the base motion.
Yes,
Okay.
as amended.
Any discussion on the base motion as amended? Any other discussion on that? Okay, Alicia, let's call the roll.
Dick Anderson,
Aye.
Cynthia Lindquist,
Aye.
Bert Kozer,
Aye.
Ron Goodman,
Aye.
Randy Stacy.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So that, with the approval of that motion, then I will give our HR update.
Okay,
Can I do that?
yes, please.
Okay, so as the commission knows, we have 3 staff members. We are in the process of doing yearly evaluations that I conduct for Logan and Alicia. We did also have our legislative we had our legislative intern also wrap up with us last week. So we don't do an evaluation of him as a temporary employee. Well,
It's a survey.
it's a survey, not for HR purposes. But so he, Patrick wrapped up with us last week. Logan did a exit discussion with him. And then now we are in the process of doing our yearly reviews that I do with Alicia and Logan. They each set a goal that they are looking at. Both of them, it is very geared towards leadership and developing leadership skills so that when we do have additional team members come on with the commission at some point, that they are equipped to be leaders in that regard. As we have already talked about, the legislature approved the workload, the funds to fund Alicia's already earned workload increase. The commission already approved that workload increase back probably almost a year ago, right? It would have been last June or September. So I just wanted to let you know that that workload increase will go into effect as of May 1. I worked with HR with Jill to ensure that we could make sure that it was effective May 1 instead of waiting until July 1 to do that. So, and we have available funds to do that as well. With the bonus policy now adopted, I do plan on doing a $1,500 performance bonus for Logan based on the time and the effort and the exceptional legal advice that Logan provided during legislative session. There were many nights that Logan was up late and up early, more up late than up early. But, and just even just last week, the peppering of questions that he got from the legislators, yes, from the conference committee, he did very well answering those. And always did. So I just wanted to let you know that they're both performing very well, and we will finish their yearly reviews, but nobody is surprised that they are doing well. So the legislature approved a 3% raise, so they will be, based on the evaluation, likely receiving a 3% raise that goes effective July 1. So we will take care of that. And go through that process. As far as HR update, I believe that is it from the HR update.
So for the commission, I guess I would like to I'd like to support what Rebecca just said. I think we've all seen that. So I highly support Rebecca's actions and highly support the bonus increases for our staff, because they did an amazing job over the past 4 months, accomplishing everything without, well, at least as far as I can tell, without hitting burnout. So avoiding burnout as best you could, or however you did that. But our staff did, I don't know if I can find the right word for the work they did in an outstanding manner in accomplishing what we were trying to do. Now, that doesn't mean the legislative body agreed with us, but everything still was done to achieve that goal. And they worked very hard to do that. So I'd like to recognize that publicly and thank you guys for doing that.
Dave, can I add one other thing?
Okay.
This is Alicia's first session, and it was very interesting. It was very, I want to say cool, but rewarding to see how legislators trusted her numbers because she had them within a dollar amount.
Yeah.
And there were so many occasions that either I had to say, well, you know, Alicia has the number, and she had it. And it was just phenomenal. And Senator Dever made a comment to me that she's very good. And I said, yes, she is.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that was recognized by the conference committee. So just wanted to, everybody trusted, even in not knowing her in her first session, they trusted her numbers very, very well.
I have a question. It's HR related in a way, but each of you three have a different skill set. I mean, to bring it to the commission. Are there legal courses or education that you could take that may not be available in North Dakota? Or leadership courses that you may take not available in North Dakota? And Alicia, hopefully putting together a case management system or training or education that you may take that's not available. Are there funds available and time available to take advantage of that so that you really can expand your knowledge into your respective areas?
I'm writing this down, Marie.
For example, I know the continuing legal education. There are a raft of continuing legal education courses in North Dakota, but none of them really focus on the issue that you're concerned about and you're concerned about. Mm-hmm. And so you may have to either go someplace to do that or participate in a fairly expensive online program.
So there are some resources through, I'll talk to mine specifically. So I think Alicia has done a really good job of seeking out those resources. The state has, is it OMB who has it? Who has all the online modules?
HRMS.
And yeah, HRMS. They have quite a few online learning modules. And as Marie, we were having the discussion when you walked in, some of those we pay for. That you have to pay for it. It's through LinkedIn Learning. And the commission has never been set up to pay for those before. And Alicia just got that set up yesterday, right? I don't want to misrepresent it. So that she can be taking those courses online, staying here, so fairly cost effective. But the other thing Alicia is doing is she is going to be a mentee as part of the mentor-mentee program with the state. And they're going to pair her up with somebody who is doing operations in a different agency in state government. And so presumably a larger agency because there is none smaller than us, so that she can learn how they do operations and get, that mentee-mentor relationship. But I think when it comes to case management, that's going to be a whole other thing that we're going to be biting off. As far as Logan and I may be more in the legal realm, I think Kogel is a huge one. Kogel also offers quarterly roundtables. I've participated in one. Have you done any of them? Because we haven't had time.
Something's always come.
Yeah. They're not exactly timed very well because it's trying to get everybody from Hawaii to New York. But those, I did one on education. It was a few months back. I thought it was really helpful. Santa Clara University also has an ethics institute that they offer things through, but a lot of their stuff is on site. And there is not funding for us to be traveling to do those. So development opportunities are there, but that you do have to look for them quite extensively.
I need to go to Coco. Yeah. This year.
Yep, I'm gonna have Alicia answer that.
I am registering 4 individuals to go to Koval for this year, so we can use, which is also already included in that budget. We're going to pay $2,400 out of this biennium to at least get that taken care of now, so we don't have to pay that next biennium. So we'll have 4 people registered to go or able to go. So yeah,
Yep.
I'll have at least 4.
So Logan and I are registered, and then we have 2 more.
Is that in the budget already?
Yes,
Okay,
everything's in the budget. That $5,700 is free for it.
okay.
Trust me.
I trust you.
You answered my question.
We're definitely in a niche area, right? And it's hard to, California, there is I can't remember what it's called now, but they have resources. I'm signed up where I get an email every week on ethics topics and what the state of California is dealing with. And it's a lot of campaign finance, campaign disclosure, dark money, use of public resources by public officials, directing money. One that I got just a few weeks ago was directing money toward nonprofits by public officials. So they have a whole other, set of issues that we get to learn about that we have not yet embarked on in North Dakota. Do you have anything to add? So that concludes my HR update from what we are doing internally and what we're going to wrap up before July 1. And now that we have the policies and procedures, then Alicia, you want to give us an overview of the budget now that we've done those things?
I have a question.
Okay.
When do we do Rebecca's eval and performance bonus?
That's item number 12 on our agenda.
Oh, I didn't put on far enough. Thank you.
Okay, so for our budget update, I just want to share that typically we don't have the actual numbers ready for each month until the 10th of the month, which is part of why we always try to have the meetings at or after the 10th. So some of these calculations are going to be really my own calculations and probably closer to estimates than to the T numbers, though they might end up being closer to the T, their estimates. The biggest change here is going to be this additional funding from the State Government Student Internship Program Spending Authority line. That was at just over 12,000 before, and I've deducted it to 10,000 based on Patrick not working the full. We had 760 hours, I believe, accounted for, and he worked under that. So they take the 75% of that. They take that back if whatever isn't spent of that. So that's just my calculation based on what we'll be returning. So that did change our appropriation for the biennium to $1,165,777. And then with our expenditures in April, estimating $52,000, that brings our total expenditures to the biennium of $1,007,282, and leaving us with a remaining budget of $158,495. Our projected expenditures for the last 2 months here of the biennium total $152,755, which leaves us with that ending balance of $5,740. So again, some of those are estimates, so it might change by just a little bit next month when we have, after the 10th gets passed, but that is where we're sitting at.
What do you have to pay Westlaw for?
That's for the subscription that Rebecca and Logan use for that software.
Okay, so it's not publications then?
No, that's a monthly subscription fee that we pay for.
Okay. Do you use it much?
How many users?
Just two.
Is it 2 or 3?
I only have.
You just have it admin.
Murray and I remember getting books and supplements all the time. Every month, stuff would come in and we'd have to put it in the back of the book, and all that kind of stuff.
No more.
No
No.
more.
So you don't even have a set of century code in print, do you?
I wouldn't mind one, but only because I just like the way they look.
Then you gotta do
It's
the
aesthetic, and then we got to do the supplements, and it's not worth it. It's the one thing I didn't like doing in the law clerk world is all the supplements code. So we will not be doing that. I did want, in our subscriptions, we do have not the Westlaw subscription, but we do have a subscription to the forum out of Fargo. And we did set it up so that the commissioners now can have access to that as well. We can get you the username and password so that you guys can have access to the forum publications. It gets you to the Fargo Forum and then the Dickinson Press. And I feel like it maybe gets you to the Minot and Grand Forks Herald. But we usually just use the forum. So we do have that information. We can get it to you on a break or something so that you guys have access. I know, Ron, you had asked about that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then can we go down to the professional service fees? So if we look at professional fees and services, this money, we don't include this in our general budget. And the reason is because this money has been earmarked. Although it's not considered a separate line item, we only have a one line item budget for legislative purposes. This money with legislative intent has been earmarked for professional fees and services. So this is if we need to hire a acting executive director or hire outside counsel. You will see that we do use that on a regular basis for some complaints, but we do have a chunk of money left there. What I would propose to the commission, I don't know if we necessarily need a motion on that, is to, we do have a backlog of cases and we have a backlog of complaints that if in the next 2 months, we reach out and hire additional SAGs to assist with those so that we can reduce that number and get around to those, basically kind of digging in and getting people set up to do that. So I don't think we need a motion to do that, but we probably, I just probably need direction from the commission that they are okay with doing that. And that money is specifically earmarked for SAGs and for, for professional fees in general, investigative purposes, yes. So I just wanted to let the commission know on that.
Any discussion from the commission? Any opposition? You can go ahead.
Okay.
Good to go.
I will, I have gotten a name from, Ron gave me a name, Murray gave me a name, and then I also got a name from Paul Richard yesterday. I reached out to him to see if he could find us another Pat. So
I kind of hear you saying that we won't use Pat anymore?
So we love Pat and we like using Pat, but Pat will not be renewing her law license. At least that's what she's told us, right?
Yeah, I did that too.
So she
So-
plans on going inactive
June 30th.
June 30th. Yep. But we'll use her in the interim. But we likely we'll need to find somebody else to
Yeah.
serve as outside counsel. Paul did joke that maybe he shouldn't have went inactive and then he could serve
Oh,
as
he
an
can do
attorney.
that, sure.
But he did go inactive, so.
He seems to know, well, I don't know. He might need some refresher courses to catch up.
A lot has happened in the last few months, right?
Yeah, the way Paul is, he already knows it.
All right, I believe that that concludes. Oh, nope, can I actually go back and give one more update on human resources that I forgot about, Dave?
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion. So we did interview for a summer intern position. The individual who we offered the position to did not accept. They took another opportunity as in-house counsel somewhere. So we are now at the point where we have to decide at this late stage if we want to, reach back out, or if we just want to say, that's okay, we're not going to do a summer intern this summer. We are leaning towards just not having one this summer. And the only reason is because it is a significant amount of time to mentor and to have somebody in the office. And Logan's time is pretty precious right now with getting legal work done. So our thought is that maybe this summer we just need to let that be and focus on getting through the work that we do have. So unless there's strong opinions, we can certainly go another way. But we're going to change how we recruit for our intern positions. We're going to go up. We did not go up to UND. The reason we didn't go up to UND is because we were in legislative session, and taking a day to drive 4 hours and drive back seemed like a lot during legislative session, so we chose not to do that. But this coming year, we will do that. We'll go up and actively recruit at the law school.
Did you talk to the governor about it?
No, I'm not getting on that plane.
I would like to add to that, if we don't do a summer intern, we have $3,200 allocated for one, so that remaining
Yep.
budget will go up to about 9,000 instead of 5,700 if we do not have a summer intern.
Good to know.
Which you could spend on an experienced, but perhaps retired lawyer.
Yes. You mean Paul? Do you mean Paul?
Well, maybe he's talking about Murray.
No, I'm just saying that if the funds are not available for an intern, those funds could be used for an attorney with experience to help.
Yes.
And the mentoring would drop very significantly. So you have possibly 3 options.
Yep. Okay, now that concludes my HR and executive director's report.
Okay, so we'll move on to advisory opinion. And you said Jill won't be here till
11.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's move on to the advisory opinion request.
Okay, so before you, you have 3 advisory opinion requests that have come into the commission. The first one, we'll just take these in turn. Let's start with 2501. 2501 is a request made by Senator Josh Boucher. I tend to still call him representative. I apologize, but Senator Boucher made the request. This is back in January. We did notify him after the commission discussed this advisory opinion request, which relates to campaign expenditures. The commission discussed this in a meeting and said that they would issue the opinion, but based on Murray's comments, he said, let's see if Senator Boucher is okay with extending the timeline to let us get through session. Well, we are now through session, and we have told Senator Boucher that the advisory opinion will be issued on May 30th. Well, May 30th is going to be quickly approaching, and we also have a number of complaints that are out there. We may need additional time to get this particular advisory opinion done. This is a very lengthy, detailed advisory opinion, and probably needs a significant amount of research. Is that what you would? I don't want to speak on your behalf, but
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not a, I'll just say it's a difficult issue. We asked question on, and it's not something the commission has issued an advisory opinion on before, so it'll take some time.
It will. And so the question that I have, and the reason I bring it up today, is that I think issuing this advisory opinion before May 30th, which is 24 days from now, knowing Logan also has vacation scheduled in the month of May, so we actually have fewer days. I think that that's very tight, and I would suggest that the commission coordinate with Senator Boucher for another short extension to June 30th.
Something.
Yes.
It's also a campaign finance question, and that was the last bill of session where that might have changed, and we didn't know if that would change his requests a little bit, so we didn't even start working on it given that legislation.
That is correct. We were waiting on those bills as well. So there's a lot of moving parts to this one. I did talk with Senator Boucher late yesterday, and he indicated that he just wants this to be a well-written opinion, no matter how long it takes, and that I could represent that to you today. So if we need another 30 days, 60 days or 90 days, I don't suggest we take another 60 or 90 days, but just a short extension to make sure we have it right. He is okay with that, but we would certainly want to make sure that we have that agreement in writing so that for audit purposes, we don't have any issues.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just for a non-lawyer, how would, I guess, how did this get to us? When they do campaign finance laws, don't they think this stuff through and think of these things, or?
Logan, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple things, Cindy. One, I don't think they know where to go, but two, the advisory opinion statute. They can propose a question regarding the application of state statutes related to transparency, corruption, elections, and lobbying, just like our constitutional authority. So it really does fall within the commission's buckets, and through that advisory opinion request, they can get that civil and criminal immunity that attaches if they follow the advisory opinion. So I think it demonstrates that people feel comfortable coming to the commission to ask those questions and seeking the commission's advice when they're presented with those issues. I know there was some discussion among legislators about clarifying the campaign finance statutes with this specific issue, but again, they had a bill. I don't know if it even addressed the specific issue or not in its final form, but that didn't pass either. So,
And when it came to us, did you guys or did Senator Boucher mention there was some movement at the national level, or some other states had done something, that led it to come to us, right?
yes. So
Okay.
I think in the request he references some Federal Election Commission advisory opinions. That's, I think, another reason that he felt comfortable asking the state equivalent, which is the five of you, this a similar question.
So when the legislature, when they enact this stuff, and I know how the legislative body works, but I'm just thinking out loud, I guess, about how we've been asked this opinion. So has he told his colleagues that he's asking us to do this? And is this an opportunity for us to work better with them? Or is it legislative council? Or is there a group of legislators who focus on campaign finance issues? Or never mind, Cindy, you're going too deep in the woods.
Cindy, I think that's a very good question. So there was a group of legislators who introduced a piece of legislation. I think, what was the original bill? 1280.
2156.
There you go, 2156. And then there was also a competing, I guess you could say, or similar bill, 1377. We monitored both of those bills during legislative session. There was a group of legislators made up of Representative Cleary here in Bismarck, Senator Roars out of Fargo, Representative O'Brien out of Grand Forks. Who else was on it? And then Secretary Howe as well. I feel like I'm missing some legislators. Yeah, and then Castaneda, Representative Castaneda from Minot Senator Castaneda. He ended up getting into the discussions as well that campaign finance was really one of the things that they wanted to get done this legislative session. And, unfortunately, the bills didn't make it through both houses. But there certainly is a group of legislators who are interested in this topic and want to see more transparency in this area. I think I'm missing some legislators too, so don't think that there aren't more or that I am meaning to miss them. But those were the ones that we had discussions with also before legislative session about campaign finance. And then also Senator Boucher.
Okay, so when you do this work then, you do it yourself, or would you, and then you consult with us as the commission, but would you reach out to others who have an interest or no? Because this is a specific task.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
and
a
maybe-
very good
yeah.
question, but usually when we draft them, we draft it
Yeah.
just like the court would with their opinions, where we do it in-house and then it goes to the commission as the final decision makers. But whatever that advisory opinion looks like, on the back end, it may be beneficial to work with legislators to clarify things. I don't know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Because we haven't started on
We
it.
haven't been able to start on it, but depending on what that is, it may make sense to talk to them. We're still digesting what actually happened with that campaign finance bill, because it was the last bill of session. They had multiple conference committees. I watched a few of them. I didn't get to watch all of them, but
I don't even think all of them are up on the website yet.
so to be determined on that as well, what happened there.
We do have a debrief with the Secretary of State on Thursday on those two campaign finance bills.
Doesn't this really come out of the constitutional provision that a candidate may not knowingly use a campaign contribution for personal use and enrichment? And so is protecting your safety with campaign dollars, is that personal use or enrichment? And I think, isn't it, they really want some guidance on, is that use of money violate the Constitution? Or if I'm caring for an adult or a parent, and I have to go campaign, and I have to hire somebody to care for my parents, is that like, that's the issue, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And so it's in Article 14, so it's kind of within the umbrella of the ethics provision, not directly. So I think it's a good question. I think it's an interesting question, and I'm glad that Senator Boucher directed it to the commission. So,
Murray, just to add on that, if we received a complaint on the back end, it would be, again, something within the jurisdiction of the commission where we'd have to investigate that as well. So,
this is an upfront.
yes.
It's an educational.
It is an educational tool.
I noticed that the advisory opinions that are listed here are pretty much all dealing with security as opposed to dependent care costs. And are there any advisory opinions that deal with that?
So I have done a little bit of research on this issue. before session when we were talking about campaign finance, and there are some states that have addressed this issue. I don't know if there is specifically an advisory opinion, but there are other states that specifically enumerate that caregiver costs can be used. Campaign contributions can be used for caregiver costs. So there is other, what I would say, persuasive authority to guide us at a minimum. And there might be other advisory opinions out there. We haven't done the research yet.
Where are these advisory opinions from? Us, from North Dakota?
No, these ones are from the federal, right?
Oh, federal.
Logan, the ones that are in
From the
here.
Federal Election Commission.
Yep.
Okay.
But there's quite a few states that changed their campaign finance laws, and I don't have the number. I specifically read an article about it, so it's a secondary source about states changing their campaign finance laws to allow for caregiver costs to be included. So I think we'll have some guidance on that issue as well. So with that, is the commission okay with extending the issuance of this advisory opinion to on or before June 30th?
Yes.
Okay, and then I will reach out to Senator Boucher and make sure that that agreement between the commission and him is in writing.
That is enough time.
It should be. I don't want Logan to have to rush to get this done before he goes on vacation, which he has wholeheartedly deserved and earned.
Okay, we're going to talk about the next one now.
Yep. All right. Moving on to the next advisory opinion request. This one, we just got this one in a little over a week ago. This one is also from a Senator Ryan Braunberger, and it relates to travel to a conference that he is going to be a panelist at. So I think one of the questions, or one of the most frequent questions commission staff get, is whether legislators can accept travel reimbursement, whether it's hotel costs, travel costs, meal costs for events out of state. That's where we need a little bit more direction, and that there's a lot of nuance to it. So Senator Braunberger reached out and shared that he's been asked to be a panelist and is wondering if he can accept the costs to travel. They are covering his travel. And so he submitted that because of the time. Specifically, I don't think the conference is until June. So we told him that we asked if he would submit an advisory opinion request, and he did. So this one specifically relates to travel, but this one is an issue that the commission has already looked at a little bit with the Corn Growers Association, not the corn growers, soybean, thank you. You knew what I meant for the soybean growers. So this will be an expansion or an extension of the advisory opinion that was issued back in 2023. So any questions on this advisory opinion request? Just to let the commission know, Senator Braunberger did provide us with additional information as well. This is just the request that he made. He gave us the agenda, he gave us his email with the invitation, etc. So we should be able to get him a good answer on that.
Okay. The last one is 25-03.
Yep, so 2503, this is another travel, this print is tiny, but this is another travel request. This one is from Representative Heinert. He is a member, serves on a board, and is a legislator. And so the board has a meeting, a meeting every year. And I think it's in Las Vegas, if I remember correctly. Yep. So he wants clarification on, because he's a member of the board, whether those travel costs can be covered. and he's requesting guidance from the commission. So the reason this is very small font, I apologize for that, but just to let the commission know, this is one of those instances where we got a request, and really what they wanted to know is they want guidance. They are seeking guidance. And so how we phrased this one, and you can see my response back, is thank you for reaching out. This conference isn't until November, so we have a little time. And it does seem as though Representative Heinert is looking for a yes or a no on whether he can do this. So that's why I directed him to request an advisory opinion if he would like to. You will have to apologize. I accidentally hit enter and hit send on that email, so I had to follow up with my email and finish it, basically saying here's the information on an advisory opinion request. If you would like us to have this be an advisory opinion, let us know. And he certainly did. He said, let's go with an advisory opinion. So that is another one that we will be analyzing with unique facts, that he's a member of a board and the board is having a meeting out of state. So all instances that we want clarification for legislators about whether that is acceptable under Article 14. So again, Dave and I consulted and said we would issue an advisory opinion on that one as well. Any questions on those?
I have a question generally about advisory opinions. So if the commission issues an advisory opinion and somebody, whether it's the requester or somebody else, looks at it and says, you didn't look at this, and comes back with information, or the statutes change upon which the ethics opinion is based, at what point do you reconsider, revise, or update?
It's a good question. Look at the statute. Just sure.
So how other ethics commissions do it, like if you look at New Mexico or Hawaii, they have all of these advisory opinions listed, and then they have added notes behind them where they will say superseded by, and then they will reference. So they create it, they set it up very similar to a Westlaw or legal research system.
Or repeal
or
they repeal, or they can, yep, and so they have
So
that.
That's what I was looking for. The statute doesn't take that into account where you can reconsider it unless you get a new request. Then, of course, in the new request, you could take everything you've already done or statutory changes, what have you, and reconsider things that way. But that's not currently in the statute, so you would annotate it, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, Hawaii, I mean, Hawaii's been around, since the 70s, so they have a lot of them where it says repealed by statute or superseded by a separate opinion, like a new opinion because that there was a change in.
You leave it in place. But
Yep, but then you annotate it. So that's going to have to be something that we go back and do a 6-month or a yearly review on to make sure that our advisory opinions are still consistent.
And if somebody, a third party comes in and says, you didn't consider this, or you may amend it.
I think that would have to be a separate request, right?
If it's somebody who is under the commission's jurisdiction that can request an advisory opinion, they should then be requesting a new advisory opinion asking for specific analysis related to whatever issue.
That's-
I think Ron's action there is an indicator that we should probably take a break.
And that wraps up advisory opinions.
I was thinking the same thing.
So is it too late to add something to the agenda?
I don't, that's the official ruling, no?
We do no further business of that, so.
So
We have additional further business.
my question is, what happens if there is an ethics violation, but nobody makes a complaint, that the commission or commissioners are aware of it. You follow?
Basically, can the commission make the complaint?
I'd like to discuss that if possible.
How we proceed if we know of a violation, but no one's complained about it yet.
Nobody external person.
Externally, okay?
We can take that up as further business.
Further business. Okay, it's about 10 after. Let's take a 15-minute break.